Доброго дня, шановні.
Good morning, esteemed colleagues. We are happy to welcome you to the second day of the Forum of Teaching and Learning Excellence Forum in the higher educational establishments. And this is a program which is being implemented by the British Council jointly with the Institute of Higher Education of the National Academy of the Pedagogical Science of Ukraine and Advanced HE. 2 days we have been working very proactively, and these 2 days were absolutely interesting. So if you've missed the first day, please visit the site of the forum, and there you will be able to watch the recordings of the yesterday's day, and also you can watch us online today, and also you can look at it at YouTube and the social media. So please don't miss this forum, and you have an opportunity to ask questions, provide comments, and we will be happy to answer your questions and react to your comments together with our guests. And these 2 days will have a very saturated program. And yesterday we have been working very proactively. We watched 2 panel discussions, and the first one was about the professional development of the teacher of the university, key players, where we had an opportunity to speak with the representatives of the Ministry of Education of Ukraine and the National Agency for Quality Assurance, and also transformation of teaching was discussed together with the teachers. And our forum is quite unique. It's unique because all the participants of the forum are the participants of the program, and they share their cases, live cases, and you will hear success stories and also failures. But we are very bold, and we share our achievements, and we are very confidently share our experience so that it will be useful for our teachers and for the universities. And I would like to thank you for your response in the social media. And we understood that this forum is interesting for you and it's useful to you. That's why we are going to introduce you to the panel discussion today and the workshop, and also our British colleagues are going to participate, and we are going to demonstrate the interviews with you. Because yesterday we have touched upon one of the most important stakeholders of this process of education, the students, and we were talking about excellency. We understand that we become excellent teachers not for the sake of being the teachers as such, but we are working for our students. And we today are going to discuss the role of the students in the process of education. And today we are going to watch the video which we have recorded with the students, and we put them the question, what are the advantages in distance learning, if there are any advantages, if there any, hardships in the distance learning, whether they felt the support of the teachers within the last year, and what support they were given, where the teachers have adapted to new reality, and how did they do it. And one of the interesting questions was, what is the future of the higher education? Maybe you already are interested. And we were interested to hear the answers, and the answers were various. And after the video, we will have an opportunity to discuss all these issues at the panel discussion with the teachers and with the students, and we are going to discuss the similar questions. So the panel discussion will be how to build the effective interaction between the teachers and the students. And the panel discussion is going to be carried out by Yulia Sobol, the manager of the educational projects of the British Council. So please be proactive during the second day of our forum, and please, you can watch us on the site of the forum and in the social media, on the YouTube, in the Facebook, and please be proactive, participate, comment, ask questions, especially during the panel discussion. And we will be happy to hear your response. And this program is on the site, and I would like to invite you to watch the video, which was recorded with our students, and then we are going to participate in the panel discussion, please.
Головною перевагою є мобільність. Аби доєднатися до навчального процесу, необхідно лише Wi-Fi та гаджети.
Маєш змогу навчатися без відриву від особистих справ та роботи, знаходитись у комфортному для себе місці і маєш доступ до великої кількості ресурсів.
Це набагато більш гнучкий спосіб здобувати освіту.
У мене тепер є набагато більше часу для своїх особистих справ.
Це можливість розвиватися позааудиторно, всебічно і розвиватися самостійно.
Найголовніша проблема – це відсутність надійного інтернету та світла. Інколи ми не можемо прийти на пари або здати домашні завдання.
Я не відчуваю академічного простору. Карантинні обмеження стали перепоною для справжнього студентського життя.
Найважче було самоорганізуватися. В аудиторії навчальна атмосфера куди краще, ніж вдома біля ліжка.
Так, викладачі надають нам особисті консультації, якщо ми щось не розуміємо у процесі навчання. Але, на жаль, не у всіх викладачів вистачає часу, щоб приділити нам додаткову увагу.
Якщо виникають організаційні питання або питання, пов'язані з предметом, то відповідь я завжди отримую.
Я відчуваю підтримку з боку викладачів, бо завжди можу поспілкуватися з ними в соціальних мережах.
З викладачами ми онлайн майже 24/7.
Головна підтримка від викладачів – це те, що вони розуміють, що дистанційне навчання – це челендж не лише для них, а й для нас. Адаптація викладачів залежить виключно від їхнього бажання. Хтось тільки посилається на лекції, які викладені на сайтах дистанційного навчання, а хтось шукає нові підходи у викладанні.
Студенти цінують таке ставлення і приділяють увагу саме цим предметам. Викладачі, як і студенти, несподівано опинилися в невідомих донині умовах. І ми разом навчаємося працювати в нових реаліях.
Мабуть, набагато важче проводити заняття, коли не маєш контакту зі студентами і не бачиш їх реакцію та віддачу.
Я не думаю, що викладачі достатньо адаптувалися до дистанційного навчання. Є можливість попрацювати над комп'ютерною грамотністю.
Я вважаю, що викладачі адаптувалися до сучасних реалій освіти, але іноді у них виникають технічні труднощі та вони потребують допомоги.
Багато викладачів знайшли можливості доносити навчальні матеріали за допомогою соціальних мереж. На даний момент це найкраща мова спілкування з молоддю.
Я бачу майбутнє вищої освіти не дистанційно. Офлайн навчання дає змогу спілкуватися з
Не дистанційно.
Може здатися сумнівною.
На мою думку, в майбутньому студенти будуть навчатися по індивідуально підібраній програмі.
Майбутнє вищої освіти я бачу у вигляді змішаного навчання, де присутній саморозвиток, а викладачів я бачу як наставників.
Шановні учасники форуму,
Esteemed participants of the forum, we would like to welcome you, and we continue talking to the students and to the teachers, and we are going to discuss how to efficiently build the cooperation and interaction between the teachers and the students. I would like to introduce our participants. Andrei Kalinin, the president of Ukrainian Association of Students, Yegor Gukov, the head of the Students' Council of Zaporizhzhia National University, and Maria Tsipyatchuk, the teacher of the chair of this history and theory of state, National Ostrog Academy, and Olga Yashenkova, the specialist in English philology and intercultural communication, Kiev University, named after Shevchenko. We have watched the video just a minute ago. The video, well, where the students were quite sincerely speaking about the teachers and whether they have adjusted to the new normal, new reality. And a lot of students say that, yes, they did. But some students said that the teachers lack digital competencies. And the first question is to our student, Yegor. Mr. Yegor, could you please tell us, what do you think? The digital literacy, as well, is it a lack thereof with the teachers? Is it a myth or reality? Good morning, dear viewers. Well, I think that the lack of digital literacy, unfortunately, is a fact of life, but it's not that drastic. And within 12 months of the distance learning and blended learning, the majority of the teachers have already adjusted to this form of work, and they have increased their skills in digital teaching and the teaching in the distance learning form. And maybe the students were asked by the teachers to help them, to provide some technical assistance, to give them some help with the digital technologies. Oh yes, that's true. They have applied to the students' councils, because not always the distance learning education was arranged, and we were actually communicating with the teachers. We talked to them, and we offered our vision of how the distance learning should be arranged. And again, I would like to reiterate that nobody was ready for that. Nobody was prepared, and that's quite normal. And we needed some time to set up the system of distance learning properly. Thank you, Andrei. And also, I would like to give the question to you. You are the president of Ukrainian Association of Students, and quite often you actually communicate with the students, you work in a very close contact with the student. And what do the students say? Do they say that the teachers lack the digital competencies, or should they develop them more? Yes, in general, I personally faced the following situation when I was writing my master's paper, and well, I lacked the live communication. And actually, when we could work with the teacher to actually edit my paper, and actually I was teaching my lecturer to use the Google programs to edit the programs. So the teachers had some, skills in using digital technologies, but they did not have a global understanding how to use Google Meet, Zoom, corporate mails, and online documents. And maybe this first phase was the most difficult one, to understand what all these software exists. Well, we used it for fun previously, and and actually we were trying to use those opportunities, and it was fun. But when we had to use it, in our everyday operations, well, a lot of people could not do it, and it was very difficult to accept this new reality when we had to sit at home, be isolated. There were problems, and actually the teachers were not able to adapt immediately to work in Zoom or Google Meet, and they compensated it by giving us a huge workload. They actually gave us too much independent work and things which had to be delivered in the audience, in the conference rooms. The teachers were giving us these huge bulks of information which we had to process independently. So, well, at first it was not possible to adapt properly to using Zoom and other online platforms, and that's why a lot of material has been given for the students to master on their own, and we had to work day and night, and we were overloaded with the information which was sent to our emails. But now the situation has improved. Thank you for your answer. And I am interested to hear what the teachers think about it. A lot of people say that the teachers lack digital competencies and digital literacies, and they say the students actually have a lot of digital skills and they don't need that much preparation. Is that true or not? Yeah, well, I would like to say good morning to all our viewers. Well, things are different. Andriy said about Google Doc, but my situation is absolutely different. I have been working with Google Doc for a long period of time, and well, quite often I have to train the students to use this software so that they would not send me the documents of version 1, 5, 18, and so on, but so that they would work in the Google Doc. But, well, things are different. Sometimes the teachers have to adapt, and sometimes the students have to adapt. And actually, I quite agree that it took us some time to adapt, and there were certain difficulties in using Zoom as well. But I think that in general, this process had a very positive outcomes and very positive aspects, because the teachers understood that it is possible to use of these technologies for distance learning, Mentimeter, Slido, Kahoot, and other Pool Everywhere and other technologies could be used in the auditorium. And the work in the auditorium will be much more efficient when I hope, we will be able to go over and go back to the face-to-face learning and teaching. Olga, and what about your experience? Were the students really have the sufficient digital literacy, or did they have any problems? I would like to support my colleague as far as her answer is concerned, because the situations are different, the students are different, and the teachers are different, and they have different level of mastership in these digital technologies. But apart from the digital skills, the students lacked other soft skills, such as self-organization, time management, and even communication skills, how to communicate during the pandemic. And we had to change the ways we were communicating. Everything had to be changed, and we had to think about the effective and efficient form of work and effective forms of communication with the students. And a lot of students said that they needed support, and they really need support. And the role of the teacher is enormous here. They have to be online. They have to be ready to give a consultancy. And if the teacher has a problem, they should not be shy and ask the students and ask for help from the students. And there are a lot of things we can learn from our students as well. I agree to everything you've said. You mentioned the communication. And during this video, the students were saying that the teachers communicating quite well. And some students say that 24/7 they're online, and it is a problem for the teachers as well. But the research, the polls of the students in one of the Ukrainian universities, I'm not going to give you the name of that university, but, well, as a result, we found out that more than 66% of the students were complaining for the lack of communication with the teachers, and 46% of the teachers are saying that the frequency of communication has increased. So we can see that this is an issue. It exists, but the students and the teachers have a very different opinion of that. And we would like to hear your opinion of this issue. From your experience, what can you tell us? The communication increased or decreased? Andriy, we can start from you. Well, to my mind, what I've watched, so it has increased because the chats have been created, the chats for the subjects. And the youths now is not calling. It's not popular to call each other. And well, one can write a text message, and that's convenient. That's why I can see some examples when the teachers actually at 22 hours are sending a message that you have to perform a task. So the question is about what sort of communication we are talking about. Through Messenger, it's also a communication. And maybe the students, when they were asking the questions of this survey, they meant the offline communication. But I think that the online communication has increased. The email was used much more, and it has become much more popular. And the students were asking asked, "Are you using corporate email?" They said, "Oh no, why? Why should I use email? I'm using the messengers." So the communication by email has increased, and the communication in the messengers and chat is a direct communication.
So do you use email? Yeah, I mean, I cannot but agree with Andrei. That's true that I have chats within different disciplines with the teacher, and such communication is there. As for email, I'll remind you, I'm from Zaporizhzhia National University, from the regional one, let's say, and unfortunately, it's just this year that this university email appeared. We didn't used to have it. Great thanks to the administration that they finally introduced the system. And of course, it simplified the communication in such challenging times. Well, naturally, I totally agree with Andrei here. This online communication, it can be at 10 p.m. or at midnight. It's still there and it's normal. It's like that. Okay, colleagues, what would you say about that? Well, I want to say that as for my structural division in the university, we use chats and emails even before the pandemic, but now, of course, the volume of information is growing, and also the volume of messages that we as the students get. And here there is a problem that students complain that they get lost in this information flow, because really there are lots of different subjects, different teachers, they use different communication channels, and here we have to think how we can efficiently build this communication so that it is comfortable for the teachers and students. I understand that we are ready to support the students, but sometimes students also send messages at night, and they expect that the teachers immediately answer. But here I would like to address the students so that they understand that teachers have lots of students and lots of groups, and when there are lots of students, there is a problem. How to do it better? But from my own experience, I want to say that it is necessary to use different communication channels and different media and provide the students with a choice and see what works better in each group, and so that it is efficient. And it is also necessary to develop the skills of working with great information volume, the big data skills. That's very important now. Yes. We've all been saying that actually what is lacking is, first of all, personal contact with the teacher. How important is this problem for the quality of higher education? Maria, what can you say about that? In my opinion, personal contact is very important, and I have personally felt it even during the previous week, when, unlike the previous year when I didn't have any classroom hours, I had them 5 days in a row, even on weekends, and I simply compared how the students worked with the same methodologies, because on Zoom we did it all in an interactive way. We used a huge amount of various technologies, but in person you see their impressions and their feedback and how they master the material. It's all much better. So of course, despite all these communication channels and the optimization, this live contact, where you can discuss things with people very quickly, when you see the mimics, when you see gestures and hear the intonation, that's also very important. And also takes off lots of conflicts and misunderstandings. Here it is hard to overestimate human contact. I remind our audience that you can leave your comments, you can leave your questions, and of course we're going to direct them to our participants of the panel. And moving on, we hear it very often that there is a problem of black squares, the problem of turned off cameras. And actually many teachers complain about that, because it is very hard to teach when you don't see people, when you just see there's lots of black squares. Is it possible to somehow solve the problem? And how do you solve this problem? That's what I would like to ask the teachers. And also I would like to hear the thoughts of the students. What do they think, how this problem can be solved? Olga, Well, I totally agree with you here, and it is true that when you don't see this student's face, it really complicates the learning process. And as my colleague said, we are living people. We really need live contacts. But here we have to see what's the reason. Why does it happen? Maybe it's not because the student doesn't want to look into the teacher's eyes. Sometimes they explain that, for example, it's better connection. Here it really depends on who has which equipment, who has both the laptop and the smartphone, and somebody has very limited access to the gadgets. Also, some students noted that, unfortunately, even the family members understand that if there are no university classes and the students just at home, that this is still classes. They don't create the necessary conditions to the students, so it's uncomfortable for them to show what's happening there at that time. So, I mean, I'm totally calm about that. For me, what's important is the willingness to participate in the class and also treat this with understanding, and maybe offer the combination of not just synchronous but also asynchronous tasks in this way. But is it possible to actually do something so that they turn the cameras on? Yes, upon request, for some time they show their faces, but then they explain that, well, I'm sorry. Otherwise, we'll simply get lost. Okay, Maria, what can you say about that? I agree with what has been said with my colleague. I don't think that something can be done with that 100% because there is this technical aspect that remains, and we cannot impact it in any objective way. I cannot even imagine the situation when, for example, educational establishment could ensure good internet for each student at home, or, for example, at the place where the student connects. And for me, it was also immediately the question, as I work in advocacy a lot, for me it was the issue of right to privacy, what Olga has just said. And for me, it is still a dilemma. Honestly, I don't know what prevails here. What is is it their legitimate goal to actually make them turn on their cameras for the content, or actually there is respect to this privacy? Because, for example, if there is one room at home or some other circumstances and the students simply cannot turn the cameras on or don't want to do that, and that's normal because that's their private space, even if when it is combined with studies. So naturally, I always call on my students to turn the cameras on, but if they don't do that, then no sanctions or anything are applied. Thank you, Igor. You as a student, could you share your experience? What can you say about that? What should be done so that the students actually turn on the cameras? Well, see here. Such a form of studies allows, at least for me, how I used to say, that's very comfortable when you, for example, put your teacher in the pocket. You can go somewhere to the shop and you listen to her in school, and you are both at the class and you're doing something else in parallel. There is something like that. But of course, it is not a deciding one. But I can honestly say that things like that happened often with me. I can also openly say that students are very lazy people, unfortunately. And when you have a class, for example, it's like at 8 a.m. you wake up, you turn that Zoom on, and then you just keep half sleeping for 20 more minutes. This thing also exists, but with colleagues, I would totally agree with the right to privacy and the fact that there are not enough technical capacities. That's true, and here there are lots of factors, and those that I named as well. Andrei, what would you say? I was listening to the colleagues. I also thought about finishing the coffee while you're still going to class, but anyway. I think that even from the point of my own, when I did some trainings or something, there is a part of the audience which has the cameras turned off. You ask them to turn them on and nothing helps. And I agree with the statements about the right to privacy, but I think that it is important here, and from my own experience as well, when I did trainings, it was available for me. when at least these black squares actually write something in the chat. Or, for example, in Mentimeter, they would also interact and communicate. And it seems to me that the problem is not actually about the camera turned on or off. The problem is that there is whether this person is there. And actually, whether they're ready to write notes of what you're saying. And actually, here, and first of all, you have to come up with the instruments that are going to help and support this communication, even if the screen is turned off. Because conceptually, from the camera turned on and off, you will perceive information just the same way. Of course, it simplifies life for the lecturer because it at least sees the living reaction of the person. Because when you talk to the students in the audience, you can see that somebody grimaces or smiles. But here, you just see the black screen. So, and the methods that are going to help to find out whether the person sleeps or drives somewhere or something, that's probably the most important in this process when it's the black screen. We have a comment here. Somebody writes that camera which is turned on allows to see the mimic and also to joke together. And somebody else also comments that you can always retouch background or install the background. You can turn it on by request and for a long time. I mean, yes, there could be technical complications because sometimes it requires a lot of resources of the gadget to retouch the background. Also, we have comments saying that not all students have good internet so that it was possible to turn the camera on. But if we're talking about not just the turned on cameras, but also the interaction between the teacher and the students in the classroom, so that the student didn't just sleep or make coffee during the class. So the student would actually participate in this process. What is necessary for that? Maria, you could start. When I listened to Igor and Andrei, also in parallel, I was thinking how you could get them engaged, not through switching the cameras on. For example, I use Zoom from the very beginning, and the version where you could put people in breakout rooms, and for me it was always the breakout rooms. So even if they didn't turn on the cameras, in this way we did jigsaw puzzles, mosaics, and some different things where actually every person had to somehow speak up in big groups and small groups, and then also answer the surveys. And it was visible whether the person gets engaged or not. If that person could do it, combine it with shopping or making coffee, it's great. This means that the person is multifunctional and can do that. And also being structured. How you plan the material, what kind of instruments you apply. And I have also seen that it was interesting for the students to try out those new tools. Then you can actually make slices in 2 or 3 classes what is better, and then you can just leave them until the end, these instruments. So that's the option that I have. Okay, great. Olga, what kind of instruments do you use to engage the students so that there is interaction? Well, actually, I like combining different forms, different study forms and different interaction for the students. And sometimes I can say that I start the class from a small test, and the students have limited time to perform task, and then we'll discuss them. Or, for example, I could publish a video in Google Class with the task, and then later they come back to Zoom. And also, we could start from Zoom, for example, from some topics, and then I'm going to give them specific tasks. But what is also very popular among my students are projects, various projects. They can be complicated. They may require resources and knowledge, but they really like them. And when I asked to write feedback on my course, they always wrote projects. So I thought that as we have to work online, then I was just thinking, how do you make it so that they communicate more among each themselves. So I came up with the project so that they worked either in pairs or in small groups, and went out and looked for different communications voices via the phone or the Zoom, what they can do. And then they could take interviews, they could make videos. Also, the students really like it when you provide them with the choice. That is, they could be the same topic, but you offer them within this topic various questions, and the students choose. And the choice when you give them the right to work either independently or in pairs or in small groups. And also the choice when you give the students the form for the task. For example, my students could choose whether they could prepare a video or write an essay or a letter. So that was very interesting, and it was also fascinating for me to look through their works, because they demonstrated such creativity, and then they wrote that this helped them to develop lots of skills which they are going to need, they believe, in the future. Okay, thank you, Igor. Could you please tell us, do you agree with our teachers? And maybe you have examples of such interaction with the teachers when you really wanted to participate in all this. Well, look here, I totally agree with my colleagues here. When you have a choice, when you have first the choice for the form, that's very cool. For example, I study in sociology department. For example, making social advertising can be any form. You can make a booklet, a video, and also filming or some advertising. You could choose it to do independently in the groups or somehow differently. Here I agree with the colleagues, and it is cool when during the class in Zoom, some other platforms are used, which the colleagues mentioned, like, for example, they might use Jamboard or Kahoot. Well, that was also mentioned. That's very cool, and it engages in the learning process. And we're also saying that quite possibly even the camera, when it is turned off, still the student is integrated in the process, and that's very cool, because such platforms give us such an opportunity. Okay, Andrei, what could you say? I was listening to the colleagues, and parallel I was thinking what I would do if I were a teacher or something else, what would I offer? But actually here we have to see what the teacher wants to give. You have to answer the question what they want to do. Does the teacher want to deliver a lecture when there's just going to be a monologue of 40 minutes and it's going to be a podcast, and the student could be listening to that, or whether they want practical interaction? Here lots of different forms are brought up that we can use. At the time I used to research gamification processes in education. Now this is a rather popular trend in the European area, when an educational process is built not just on some lectures, workshops, and practical classes, but when it is actually a logical sequence of actions with the help of certain data that the student receives, and this really helps to integrate. And I think that with the help of, let us say, various resources can be used by the teachers for interaction with the students, I think that here it is more the self-management of the teacher, so that you are able to structure it in some logical sequence and actually give the students this logical sequence of this subject. And here it will be very valuable to have this student service, because you can work with different audiences and groups. When the teacher comes and surveys them, like, what you don't like, what kind of methods work with you, because there are audiences which want to have lectures. There are those who wish more interaction. It seems to me that first you have to decide what kind of communication methods and teaching methods are going to be interesting for this audience, and also then to adapt this to them. And this can be done together, and this is going to be an example of interaction between the student and teacher we're all aspiring for.
And I would like to remind our viewers that today we are going to offer you 4 workshops, very practical ones, and you will be able to join them. And there you will be able to learn more about interesting and effective ways to interact with the students in online mode. And you are going to be able to join 4 workshops on the site of the forum. So if you're watching us in Facebook, so please go back to the site of the forum and choose the workshop which will be interesting for you. And one of the workshops is going to be dedicated to gamification, which was just mentioned. And by the way, we have a question in Facebook. And the question is the following. It's about the choice of the form of interaction by the students. They say, it's super. It's the element of the autonomy. And what about criteria of evaluation in this case? I have an answer to this question. And it's banal, it's simple, and it's a huge, beautiful instrument, but the teachers usually are scared of it, but there should be a syllabus. But if the teacher would poll the audience which methods are preferable to them, and the teacher then will understand how the course has to be constructed, and it will be possible actually to more or less define how many scores will be given for that activity or that activity. And then they develop a syllabus between the teacher and the students, and they say, well, you liked this methods of communication and interaction, and I'm going to give them that much, scores. And if they agree to it, so they sign a contract, and syllabus might, it determine the number of scores and actually address the relations in evaluation. What would you like to add to it? There are lots of options. I would like to support your option, but I usually give the students the possibility to self-evaluate or peer evaluation as well when they are performing the projects. And if they are working in the group, they assess and evaluate their own participation and the participation of their peers, of their colleagues. And then they, discuss these assessments results. And also, I ask the students to develop the criteria, not myself, not me is providing the evaluation criteria, but we do it in the groups. And then Padlet, each group publishes their criteria. Then we discuss them, and then we decide which criteria we are going to use during the assessment. And it depends on the objective of the task and objective of the teacher, which emphasis is put and where. There are options. And I would like to encourage my colleagues not to get scared and practice various ways of evaluation, not only traditional ones like exams, tests, but also other alternative forms of assessment. There is a lot of literature dedicated to this issue. And this form of assessment provides excellent results, and one can achieve the goal, and the students are happy. And the students quite often impress me with the results of their work. And this I can tell you from my own experience. Miss Maria, yeah, I absolutely support Olga in everything she said. And I think that Andrei also raised 2 very important issues. When we are talking about the choice of forms, we are not going to talk about the open list. It's always a choice out of the list of forms. And the students, together with the teachers, actually come to, a short list. And how to find out what the students like or not? This is an element of collecting the feedback from the students, and it's very important. In a lot of university, it's not a mandatory element, and usually it's discretion of the teacher. And if the teacher gets the feedback, well, the course was delivered, and then they try to find out which forms fit the course or not. But no matter what form has been offered, definitely the criteria have to be developed, and they have to be in the syllabus. They have to be spelled out in the syllabus. And I think it has been done for the last 5 years, but not only during the last year. And a very convenient tool for the teacher, first of all, because the teacher understands very specifically which criteria should be used, and they have to be actually approved. And it's a very good idea to do it on the partnership basis when the students offer. But the students not always can offer a criteria because they do not have enough knowledge for that. So everything depends on the task, on the goal. But there is a way out, and this is an excellent creative process. And we have talked about the student surveys and polling of the students. And I would like to give an example of such a survey of the students, which was carried out in Great Britain. The British agency JISC polled 21,000 of students, and only 36% of the students confirmed that they had an opportunity to impact the decisions of the universities as far as the online education is concerned. And at the same time, the British Agency of Quality Assurance in the higher education tells us that the universities have to continue engage students on individual basis and collective basis to improve the planning of distance learning. And those higher educational establishments where the students' organizations, students' councils were continuing working. They carried out distance meetings and they were engaged into taking strategic decisions in the universities, had the top level results in terms of satisfaction of the students, and thanks to this interaction and thanks to this synergy. So the next question is to Yegor, because he is the head of the Students' Council of Zaporizhzhia University. So I would like to ask you the following. Your Students' Council, whether you had meetings in a distance mode or were you working proactively during the last 12 months? Have you been engaged in the process of planning the strategy in your university? It's a great question and a relevant one. We all were scared, as everybody was. Nobody was prepared. Nobody knew what is a lockdown, what is Zoom, and things like that. And maybe we did not do anything maybe for months or even two, because we were shocked by the events. And we were hoping for the better. We thought, oh, maybe it will, finish soon, but it didn't happen. So we understood we have to get adapted and we have to do something. And we started to work and we carried out certain activities online and events online. Maybe it was not that productive. Maybe the feedback was limited, but it's the same problem with the black squares, yeah. And actually, well, it seems like the students are talking to each other, but nevertheless, we see those black squares. But we were continuing working. We were visiting administration of the university, and we were giving them the proposals to improve the quality of teaching in the distance learning format. And when the students applied to us, we also were representing them in the administration and protected their interests. And the university also adjusted to these conditions, because university is a huge, organization, a huge machinery. If it's halted, well, it will be very difficult to restart it. And but thank God the university has adapted quite quickly. And even now we have the meetings of the scientific councils and the meetings of the rector's office online. And this work provides us an opportunity to continue working and also for the university to continue developing. You, the president of the Ukrainian Association of Students, Andrei, so please, would you tell us whether your work has changed within the last 12 months, whether the students were applying to you, how you were working with the students' councils? Our work changed. Well, everybody's work has changed. I've been analyzing what changed during this year, and I came to the following conclusion. First of all, there are certain advantages because the tools of decision-making have changed. And previously, to take a decision, we were thinking of, well, what are the deadline? How can we uphold the students, online? But now it's easier because everybody is ready to participate in the meetings online, and we do not that much time to take a decision. Also, communication is simplified. Well, actually, previously we were meeting for a cup of coffee, but now we just call each other and we arrange a meeting and we immediately exchange information. So from the point of view of management and decision making, the mechanisms have actually simplified our work in terms of running the organization and communication of the people. Everybody is so get used to the Zoom, and the majority of people say, why should I go and visit you? Let's meet online, because in Kiev it's a big problem, because because of the traffic, people spend 2 hours going to the venue of the meeting. As for the teams working in the organization, we also have a number of advantages. Actually, maybe there are some team whom we never met face to face, and we communicate online. And for creating teams, it's a challenge, because the person cannot manage the team from the point of view of team spirit, development, and actually using the face-to-face communication for between the humans. Well, there were applications to the council, because there are actually problems with the election to the bodies of student self-government, because usually the voting should be confidential. So now we can not do that. We cannot do that. And for a long period of time, some of the heads of the Students' Council have not been re-elected. And well, we have to somehow find the tools to carry out those elections. But the we are looking for the appropriate instruments, but they are limited, and it's very difficult to introduce them. And also there are problems with the students of their self-government. Well, they have not been able to travel their universities. They cannot meet now, and they stay at home, and they live in various parts of Ukraine. And now we have to try to use the EU management instruments to develop the strategies of organizations so that we can efficiently operate and effectively operate. But the students' self-government institutions, might actually find some tools to resolve these issues, and they are really cool. And how important the interaction between the students and teachers is important. And this is a question also to the teachers. Is it important for you to interact with the students when the students can have an impact on various processes, like, for example, to participate in the design of the program, the learning paths, the assessment? What can you tell us about this question? I cannot imagine my work with the students without interacting with the students. Any course which I start teaching starts from interaction. We usually ask questions. We put questions to the students. We ask them what their expectations, also I start from learning what the students are, where are they from, what their aspirations in their lives. You've mentioned already the surveys, but actually engagement of students at the level of the students' parliament. I would like also to add that it's very important to engage the students and all the students, not only the members of the students' parliaments, but all the students at the level of the classroom. And how one can find out in which direction the teacher should move, how to improve the teaching of his or her courses. And we can understand that thanks to the students' response. I usually carry out regularly the surveys of the students in various forms. And these surveys, their comments, their constructive criticism helps a lot. It helps to develop the courses which would be modern and could be competitive, and gives incentives and stimuli to the teacher to develop, to continue working. So that's my opinion. How else we can work? Maria, what about your university? How the opinion of the students is taken into account? In general, I would like to tell you a few words about the university, but I would like to emphasize that the focus on the educational area is not only a problem with Ukraine. Sometimes people forget who we are teaching for, and the process is being carried out for the sake of the processes, maybe for the sake of the teachers, and that's important because the teacher has to feel a certain, solid ground on which he or she is working, and that they have to understand that this is a dignified work. But the focus of our work is a student, and we have to ask them, we have to engage them in developing this process. But there is another problem which comes up, and I would like to thank Olga for talking about engagement of the students, not only from the students' self-government bodies. And I have been thinking about it a lot. I also was engaged in the processes of evaluation of the quality of education and similar projects, and we always paid attention to the following. It is very important to establish the direct communication with each student, but how we can establish it? And there are barriers which we still have. And maybe people will criticize me when I'm going to tell you the following. One of the key problems of the indirect communication is the institute of starostas, or those monitors, which actually exist since the school life of the students. Because actually, the students usually push the responsibility to them. Because, the starosta is responsible for delivering the information timely. And actually, this institute actually creates the selective attitude to the students, and the administration, part of this, its obligations, is pushing to the starostas, to the students, because administration has to be the task of the management of the university. So this is a multifaceted question. This interaction should be organic, but the question is how to build it, how to create it, so that it will not happen the way it happens sometimes now. I mean, the elections and the representative functions of the students' bodies are very important, but individually, the students get their education on their own, and they have to be responsible for it. As for my university, we have a very sort of sustainable, relations with the students. I joined the academy in 2004, and we had the strong students' self-government, and they have been publishing the newspapers, and they had their own publications. And because maybe university is not that big, we have a very, very tight communication up to the top level. They can talk to the rector, they participate in various meetings, and also with the deans. They meet weekly or even more often. And I know that more and more teachers are trying to collect some feedback. And for 4 years or 3 or 4 years now, we have this mandatory internal process of detailed collection of information. We adapted it to the European standards of the higher education. It's a methodology for the law schools, but we have expanded it to all the specialities, and we actually engage into it all the participants of the educational process and even the employers, because we orient our teaching to the needs of the employers. I know that in Zaporizhzhia National University, the Students' Council is very proactive. I've heard a lot about it, and your students participated in a lot of projects. We were actually carrying out a project which was called Student Action, and your students were participating in it. So please tell us how this interaction is taking place between the students and the administration, whether the management listens and hears you. Well, our university is the largest in the region, and we have 17,000 students. In a strong academy, well, you're telling the rector can talk to every student. With our university, it's the other way around. It's very difficult, and our administration was happy to resort to the blended form of communication. It's like communication about, the academic debts of the students, and it's easier to engage the students into this process. This problem exists. The communication problem exists. How do we resolve it? Well, actually, we had this practice, and we continue it. We have the following tool. We carry out meetings of the rector with the students. We actually sent a Google form for any student who can ask any question and send it to the administration. And then the meeting is being arranged with the administration and with the rector's office. And all these questions are being submitted. And we have it in online format and these meetings took place, and we could resolve, the urgent issues. And we have this form of communication at the level of the dean's offices if there are, questions coming up among the students. But in large universities, there is a problem when we have to use those distance forms of meetings. And I absolutely to your statement about this Institute of Starostas. I'm not a Starosta, but it quite often happens that my administration sends a lot of, it pushes a lot of their obligations to the Starosta, and they make the Starosta do it. And this is not a productive communication, unfortunately, always. Well, actually, your statement about starostas actually raised quite a large discussion, and maybe we will be able to discuss those questions later.
Anyway, it is easier to talk to all students when there are 4 monitors in charge of them. Andrei, I wanted to ask, what would you recommend to the student organizations and student councils, how they could better and efficiently build the interaction with the university administration? Well, first of all, I mean, the basic tool in the university should be the survey. I mean, it's like 2 by 2 is 4. Universities need to have this automated system of communications. This solves the issues in big and small universities. When big universities have no chance to individually communicate, it is due to the survey that various not just about teaching quality or education quality or, for example, mental health. There actually should be lots of surveys, and they have to be done professionally so they could hear the opinion of the students, and we could actually involve student self-governance over there. Because, for example, there are like if you take a terminology of education quality, there are things that could be unclear to a regular student. Like, for example, individual studies trajectory. Just ask the student and they would never say. They'd be like, what is the syllabus? Oh, no. And then here it is actually, they can actually say it simpler. And that's going to be easier to fill out. Plus, student governance should be those streams that are going to promote the system. For example, in Kyiv Mohyla Academy, there is a cool practice when they take various opinion leaders among the teachers, and then they take those memes, like, for example, to take the survey because otherwise Mr. Vinitsky is going to cry, something like that. Also, student governance has to be included in the process of analyzing the results so that the representatives of student governance could have access to this data, because from their point of view, they can also use them and they can conduct various projects that are going to be directed at solving this problem. Like, for example, students who don't know about academic integrity, they can do lectures, they can check with various institutions, like, for example, academy that does that. For example, students don't know how to get involved in the process. How do you influence this program? How to choose it? It can be the way how you actually implement that. So what's also important for student organization is to be integrated in the system of this internal system. They shouldn't go beyond the system. They shouldn't be consulting this. They should be a part of this system. And this should be something that created through this educational, and the students need to have their own experts. In particular, I always tell them that they have to look for student experts, like a national quality assurance agency, and they could actually have this army of universal soldiers that could be sent for operative regulation. Some go through they actually come and consult. It is important for the student governance to actually have this like through various instruments. So they started thinking not about the quality. For example, if they look at the national agency, it is mostly about, and so the student government starts working how we could create that. For example, and also want to say that the student has to be aware and they have to build this high quality, because if there is going to be that, then the students may enter this you have to be motivated here, and this whole thing is going to take away these non-working institutions and teachers, and actually they are going to be one of the drivers of this process, and then we're just going to be doomed success, because even if people who are there, they can potentially become rectors, teachers, ministers, and MPs, and they are going to have their philosophy of quality and not quantity and qualitative parameters that we have inherited from the Soviet times. That's it. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Well, that was actually very interesting to listen, not just to teachers, but also to the student governance and all that. But in the end, I also wanted to ask you very clearly, like to tell your own recommendations to the students and teachers, how to improve interaction between them. So, Olga, let us start from you. Well, very shortly, just listen to the students. I also wanted to add that you have to remember that the study process is a two-way process. And you have to remember about this, and you also have to view the teachers and students as partners. So they have certain rights, but they also have certain obligations, and they're equally responsible for the results of the study process. But you really have to involve the students. Don't be afraid of these new study forms. And it seems to me that we really have to meet more often with the students, and the students have to go like this. Okay, and also to what Olga said, and partially to the comment, how do we actually arrange this, the communication directly? Automation helps that. I actually have experience of studies abroad, and nobody heard about monitors there. Maybe they have, but already forgot. And still the universities work, they haven't closed down yet. So that is why, so when there is this corporate domains created, like in our university, that's already a very old practice for many years now. With the quarantine, Moodle has become much better. And through one click, you simply can inform all your students. So my recommendation is to look for technical solutions for communication, in addition to what Olga said. Okay, thank you, Yegor. Well, I actually would like to wish everyone to keep in touch with the students, and you also have to quickly react to the problems that emerge, because there were cases when, for example, students were very indignant with some solution administration. They have to solve things. And in the end, the student council is always to blame. The student council, they decided they didn't listen, so keep in touch with the students, feel them. And as for the teachers, I mean, the colleagues already said that they should try something new, because the students really like these new forms of teaching. This cross-platform thing, so that's like that. Okay, and then shortly from you, well, just in short, just to sum up, you should enjoy your communication, actually.
Куратор моя в коледжі.
My curator in college once said a very interesting thing. She taught Ukrainian language and literature. It's like, I don't like teaching school. You come and you talk to children, but when I actually communicate with students, it's much better. And what I wanted to say, you have to build this communication and actually enjoy this communication, exchange experience, and then you are going to to win. Well, that was a great conclusion. I thank you for this very open talk. You are very sincere, and that actually it is very hard to teach when there are dark squares, when students are silent, when they don't interact. That's why they start using various methods of animational teachers. They started using videos, quizzes, vote, everything that's possible so that they could keep this in touch with the students. And actually, I also hope that these methods are not going to go into the background when we'll be able to come back to the audience. And actually, teachers will keep using them, hopefully. Because it seems to me that this current reality I have shown that physical presence in the audience and being engaged are not synonymous. And actually, you have to engage the student in the active interaction. But we are thinking also, many people say that quite possibly the future of Ukrainians education, just Ukraine, the whole world, is behind mixed learning. We hope that they are going to have the best criteria, the best results, and also our audience learning. And then I'm going to present a video interview that we recorded with the head of EdEra, where we continue this topic, the topic of mixed learning, the topic of online resources available for the students and teachers. So this is the video with the co-founder of on the EdEra online system, is Illia Filipov. Today we talked to Illia Filipov, co-founder and head of online education EdEra. We wanted to talk and to discuss how the demand for online education has changed, and what are the online platforms and resources to support students and teachers in distance learning. Hello. Well, first of all, I can tell you about our experience, because we know about the numbers and how this all changed with the arrival of the pandemic. Probably the biggest leap was in the spring, when there was this first wave of pandemic, and over there our traffic has grown about twice. That's a lot. With regard to the number of views on YouTube, our traffic has grown 2.5 times on the platform itself as well. Probably the same situation is there with the other platforms. Now there are more and more of them. We used to have Prometheus. Now there are state platforms and DIA, digital education, and all the others. I think that everybody had growth of demand for education. The most popular products traditionally on the platform are the products for teachers and school schools and university teachers. In summer, we launched courses which support university and school teachers in this process of transferring to mixed and distance learning, because over there were problems when we wrote saying that, like, they would put photos of textbooks on Viber and ask to do homework. So we developed several courses with the partners. They concerned to school teaching, use distance format, and also university teaching. And at these courses in total, we had about 80,000 people studying. That's rather big products. And on YouTube, the traffic used to grow among the school children, because we have rather popular courses for school students, and there we simply observed huge demand, because every day by these comments, actually, we can observe how this demand has changed. This is good, actually, because the pandemic actually among the students and among the teachers and among everyone it has changed. So could you please tell us, has, due to the pandemic, your direction for product developments changed? Have you been making something new due to that? And in which way have you started looking at this demand? What was the most interesting for you and how this impacted the development? Well, actually, it impacted in a way that our pipeline, that is the schedule of what we are releasing, immediately was several products were integrated, which actually concerned the help to teachers in distance and mixed learning. So these products, one product is creating for a rather long time. That's a complicated process. And when in summer we had about plus 3 or 4 products actually directed at helping the teachers from the courses using contemporary methodologies that can be used to, like with Asvitoria, we also had this product where there are lots of technologies which you can take and just implement. As for the big products and school teachers and teachers in professional and technical, in vocational schools and universities, these were big products about how you actually teach. Of course, there is demand for the products which help to use technologies, which help to use these methodologies which were not known to the people before. This is not such a simple process. Even in the companies, everybody observes that this is not a simple process to move to the distance work. What else could we say about teaching where all this life, it was this declarative style in the classroom. And now there are lots of nuances emerging. So, of course, this changes a lot. Well, in the British Council, we're now implementing a program of teaching excellence in higher education. We have universities participating in it, and we are working with the teachers and with the university management. And starting from the previous year, when we started the programs, of course, we had to quickly change the format of the studies, because first it was planned as offline, but then we moved to distance form. And of course, we changed as much as possible the content of the program so that we could take into account those needs which the teachers had at that moment. That was the use of new technologies for teaching in distance format. And could you please say, what do you propose to the teachers for their professional development? What kind of course and products you have for that? Well, actually, we can divide these products into 2 types. The first type of the products is where we directly tell about actually the second type would be the products which the teachers can use. So this actually subject matters. Like now we're developing a big product with IFES on democracy. That's a semester, 1 semester course, which the teachers will already have about 50 partners registered from the universities who can participate in this course in this mixed form to construct according to the needs of this course. There is a constructor, and they can actually use this course in their university. Also, we have the same courses on media literacy, like, for example, those which are used in the universities, or let's say from economy, from Kiev School of Economics. We did that as well. So there are opportunities for the teachers, both from the point of finding out various things and actually also doing that. And if we talk about the first type, about technologies, then we have lots of products in this topic. From the topics on distance learning to the topics which weren't really noted, like, for example, human rights, educational space, and all that, which can also be used. There are lots of products, so we can actually take them by fragments and use them. You can, for example, do that in economics classes. You can save up the time. Like, for example, you can take the ready-made model, introduce it.
Sometimes we found out quite by chance that somebody is using our modules in certain universities, and that is very pleasant for us to find out. And there are two types of products in our portfolio. Are you planning in the nearest future to develop more products for the teachers and students? Yes, we plan to develop new products. We plan to continue developing similar products. Now we are going to launch a big semester course on democracy. This is a very interesting direction, and we are thinking about the semester-long programs which could be implemented completely. And we have another interesting idea. We wonder if it will work out or not, but we would like to do something like, micromaster's degree, which exists in the West. So we would like to develop some program which online could be like a full online master's course, and the diploma can be issued for that. And this is one of the directions in which we are looking at present. And from the point of view of the products for the teachers, for technologies and methods of teaching, we are going to see what the demand is going to be for those products. We are developing this strategy now for the next year, and we are choosing where to direct our efforts, in which directions, and the area of subject products which could be used in the university is very interesting for us. I've seen at your side a very interesting product. It's called EdEra Books. Could you tell us more about it? Oh, yes. And this was a very interesting experiment some time ago. Now we are thinking about reforming this direction of our work. We paid attention to the fact that, first of all, it's a well-known fact that people do not complete their online courses. And the fact number two is that not always the students, teachers, and school children and people are looking in the internet the name of the course. They'd rather look for the topic of the course. And we saw it with the school children. Like, for example, on Google, we can see that, like, for example, the third law of Newton is being looked for, but they are not looking for the course for physics, but they are looking for the topic when they're getting prepared for it. And this is actually a seasonal exercise. And they usually look for this, information when this aspect is being taught at school. So we decided to develop this EdEra Books service, and it's not necessary to register for the whole course, and then look for the topics inside this course. But people can immediately from the Google search find the topic, go over to it, and actually master it without registering for the full course. And if we go back to the higher education and the teachers of higher educational establishments, what has an impact on the professional development of the teachers, and who is the key players in this area? What the teachers need to professionally develop? I think that, first of all, there should be the desire to professionally develop. And they have to desire professional development, and they have to understand that the world is changing very much. And we can see it if we look at recreation area, for example, where people experiment with the formats all the way. And the formats are changing all the time. And the Facebook becomes stale for the young people. They go over to TikTok, and the ways of perception of information is very important. And this is the biggest challenge. A lot has been said about it, but I would like to repeat it. The clip thinking and engaging the audience to master the material and delve deep is not done today. And now people try to get some superficial information. And these new ways of getting information by the young people should be paid attention to. Well, they are very well engaged into the games, gamification examples. This is using the gaming methodologies in not gaming area. And education is not a gaming sphere. So gamification is being used there in the area of education. Everything which is needed to better engage the people and to make education more interactive, all this has to provide incentives for development of the teachers, and they have to understand that they have to do it. And English language, well, we are now in the office of the British Council, and it's not by chance. It is very important to master English language because there are lots of materials in English. They are prevailing. There are many more than in local languages. And we have planned for this year the strategic development in one of the areas, that is developing nice analytical pedagogical materials, which exist in the West in great numbers. Harvard initiatives and other experiments are being carried out, but there is very limited literature on these issues. We would like to have more articles of this kind in Ukrainian space. The articles dedicated to the methodology of teaching, and we have planned launching of this project for the second quarter with a lot of analytical articles, research, and do you think that distance online education can substitute the face-to-face teaching? I don't like this question to be worded in this way. Well, I'm working on the online education, but I think that the future is with the blended forms of education, where we select all the best tools from the online, offline, and we actually blend it so that we develop more proactive forms of working on the material, so that this is not a passive declarative style of lecturing where there are 150 students in the auditorium and we are just lecturing. But we would like to use more interactive forms and that new opportunities come up to make education more interactive in the university or even in the secondary school, so that this education will be more effective. So I support the blended forms of education, but I'm going on my part to work hard to develop a lot of online quality products. So we can say that the blended form of education is most probably the future of education sector in Ukraine. I think that this is going to be a future of education in the rest of the world. So in this or that form, the blended education is the current and the future of education. Thank you very much for this interview. It was very interesting. And we were talking to Illia Filipov, the co-founder and the head of the studio online education EdEra. Well, dear colleagues, we continue working, and we have watched an interview with Illia Filipov, and we were talking about the online platforms. During the last 12 months, usage of the online platforms in the educational process has increased. This was due to the situation which has evolved, but we can tell for sure that they are going to continue to be very popular, and these platforms are going to be used more in the educational process. In the interview, we're talking about the methodologies and tools which are used during the distance learning, gamification, and our forum would not be the forum if we would like to offer you some activities and teach how to use new methodologies and share our experience with your viewers and the participants of the forum. Now, well, as you might have guessed, we are going to offer you 4 workshops. To watch them, you will have to enter the site of the forum. For those who are watching us from YouTube or from Facebook, please go over to the site, please. And on the site, similarly like yesterday, you will enter this section of program, and then you go down today's schedule, and you will see the main window, the workshop of our British colleagues, and 3 windows where we are going to have 3 other workshops, which we are going to discuss later. In the YouTube, we are going to see the main workshop from the British colleagues. So those who are staying there, you will be able to watch that. So the workshop from British colleague, the online Odyssey, the development of interactive teaching, and Katie Wright and Caroline Brennan are going to be the speakers. They are the representatives of the Advanced HE. They are going to share the free online tools which can be used during education. And this workshop could be viewed at the main page of our forum. And the next workshop is gamification in the educational process during the pandemic. And the speaker is going to be Natalia Lisova, the representative of Ternopil Pedagogical University. As you have guessed, we are going to discuss the gamification, using the gamification in the educational process, and also we are going to talk a little bit about the differences between gamification and learning with the help of the games. And the third workshop, blogging as the motivational trigger of engaging the students into the process of education. It is going to be led by Anastasia Yakovenko, the representative of Melitopol Pedagogical University. And from the title, you can understand that we are going to talk about blogging like a current tool and also mobile application in Shoot. We are going to discuss how the short videos can be created and how to maintain one's blogs. And the fourth one is the role of the teacher to create the testing tasks to the students as the proactive tool for education. Katerina Yermeyeva is going to offer it to the representative of the State University of Ukraine for Railroad Transportation. Please watch the workshops. Don't forget about the comments. And one remark, if you would like to give the comments as far as today is concerned, please enter our main page. Beneath the video, you can see the button, go over to the comments, and we will be happy to get your comments and to answer your questions. We have looked at the comments. Thank you very much for the questions, for your proactive in this forum, and we can see that our participants interact between each other, and that's great. So please, we invite you to the workshop, invite the one which you like, and see you after the workshops are completed.
Well, I think it's that time of day.
We're live. Are we live?
We are live. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
greetings. Greetings from the UK. Great to be with you. And I believe it's just your afternoon over there, but it's morning over here. And we're going to do a session with you, which is going to be Caroline and myself chatting and talking and taking you through some of the tools you might be able to use in your teaching. So, Caroline, it's been a strange year, hasn't it? I mean, we've all been on an odyssey. We've not been able to travel anywhere, no journeys, but even so, it's been an odyssey. And I don't know, what about you? What kind of journey have you been on over the last year?
It's been massive adventure, I think, although, as you say, we haven't gone anywhere at all. We said that Odysseus' 20-year journey after the Trojan War was taking him home. It kind of feels like 20 years to us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What have you been doing during the last year, Kathy?
Well, my odyssey, I think, has been learning to become a better baker. I think I'm now getting to the stage where I'm good with cakes and I can bake a nice cake. What about everybody else? Could you put ideas in the chat about what is the journey you've been on over the last year? Any other ideas? I suppose professionally, I've been on a journey of learning how to teach online, but in other ways, I've just been using my weekends to bake lots of cake and put on lots of weight. What about you, Caroline?
I've been practicing my French and I'm trying. I've gone onto the forum, onto the comments.
Yeah.
And that's where we're asking people, isn't it, to post the comments in the chat panel. So I'm going to write in there, practicing my French, so that when we return to normal, I'll be able to listen and order my coffee and croissants in confident French.
Okay, so this is the online Odyssey, and we've taken our inspiration from Homer. So this is an online Odyssey. I don't know if they've got any chat coming up in the panel, Caroline, yet?
I can't see any. No, I'm on the panel and it hasn't actually taken my comments.
Okay. Maybe we need to refresh
I'm finding
screen.
it difficult to to type in. So, but keep trying, everybody. Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully you've thought about this. And Caroline?
Right, icebreakers. Now, our icebreaker activity, we wanted people to use the chat panel and tell us what you've been doing this last year as a warm-up activity to start the conversations, to create a nice, comfortable atmosphere. And we also wanted it to be a way of introducing that chat panel on the forum, because we do want to use that later in today's session.
Yeah, we'll be posting links, won't we? And we were wanting people to interact with us as much as possible. Okay, let's move on. The official title was Online Odyssey, from delivering content to designing interactive teaching and learning. So as we said at the beginning, this has been a long journey where all the time we are trying new things, learning new things. And Caroline and I have worked quite a lot with colleagues in Ukraine, because we both designed and delivered the Teaching Excellence Programme. And so we've already met many of the people in Ukraine, virtually, that is. And we were asked to come on here and do a short session. And we want to model for you at least 3, possibly 4 interactive tools that you could use in your teaching, and maybe consider how you might be able to apply them to your experience. So the Odyssey started like this. We're celebrating a year of this. People on the radio this morning are talking a year ago. Our Odyssey started, and 1 year on, well, the end is not in sight. We're not there yet. The journey is not yet over, unfortunately.
So we're on a journey, but what is our destination? And we need to think now, what is home for us? Are we going back home? Are we going back to passive lecture theatres like you can see here? So what will our return be like? Do we agree with Eric Stoller, who is a well-known higher education thought leader and blogger? And in his tweet there, his point is, higher education will never be back to normal when we get back to campus. And the reply tweet is making the point that normal isn't the bad word, it's going back is the bad thing. So, challenges.
Yeah, well, if you're familiar with Homer's Ulysses, then you know that on the journey, he faced many challenges. We're all facing challenges. And what we were hoping is, if you could put in the comment box on the forum, if you could tell us what are the challenges that you are facing at the moment. So perhaps if you could have a go at posting and entering comments onto the chat, what are those challenges that you are facing? Our challenge for this session today that Caroline and I prepared is, how are we going to deliver an interactive online session when you're not on the same space as us, you're not in the same video platform as us, you're interacting with us via YouTube, via a website. So that was a challenge we had to really think through. So hopefully some of the things will work. So put into the comment box on the website, what are the challenges that you are facing? I'll give you a second to think about those. And if you've got challenges, have you managed to solve them? Have you found solutions? Have you found ideas and activities and tools that work? Then perhaps you could share that in the chat as well, because I think it'd be beneficial to everybody to learn. One, we're not alone. We're all facing the same challenges. So there's that lovely feeling of community, and we can help each other get through this. But if you found something that worked, then that is great to share it as well. So if you could add anything to the comment box, that would be great. And I don't know if we're getting anything coming through, Caroline.
We're not, but not as yet. But what I can see is from previous comments, there are some relevant things. Okay. People are talking about students not turning on cameras, being passive.
Yeah.
how to balance the process of teaching and learning if each discipline is to give students projects. So that's thinking about the students, not just in your own subject, but their whole university experience. Quality of free software, taking breaks regularly, online teaching being so tiring, isn't it? It is very draining.
Yeah.
So they are previous comments. There's nothing there that I can see at the moment. So perhaps
well, maybe those will come through. I think I think I posted a comment yesterday and it took a little while to come through. So I think we press on and we can pick those up later. So we, as an organisation, do a lot of work across the world, and Caroline and I felt that you might be interested in seeing what other people have said to us in this time of the pandemic.
And you can see the key things that come across there are that lack of interaction, lack of engagement, motivation. It's isolation and lack of interaction. That's across the world. It's not just your experience and our experience.
Yeah. They are echoing, aren't they, the comments that you've seen on the forum, and the sessions that I was listening to yesterday were very much kind of interested in the same things as are listed on the screen there. Okay, so we've been doodling, we've been drawing. Caroline's son has been drawing, and he drew us a lovely tree full of birds, a flock of birds, okay? And we wondered how you were feeling about all the challenges that you have been facing. Are you flying away? This is brilliant. I've got this sorted. This is me. Are you feeling comfortable? There you are, sat in your nest. I'm at home now. I feel quite relaxed in this environment. Or are you feeling really grumpy, or like, oh, this is an angry bird, Caroline, isn't it? Banging your head against the tree trunk because you're so frustrated with it.
Well, one of the comments is about the biggest challenge is this 24/7 work.
Yes.
So perhaps that's that bird there.
That obviously is that bird. Okay, so we wanted to use our silly cartoon picture to show you a tool that we've only just really discovered and started using ourselves, and it's called whiteboard.chat. And I'm going to show you a screen share from that, and my colleagues are going to paste into the chat and send the link that will take you to this interface, to this tool called Whiteboard Chat. Now, it's quite a complex tool, but we're going to use it very, very simply. I have circled on the screen here 3 tools that we could use today. There is, of course, a paintbrush, so you can draw. You could put a circle around the bird that you most identify with. If you change your mind, you could rub it out. Here's a rubber. Or you could add a text box anywhere on the page to be able to tell us, I'm that bird there, and that's how I'm feeling about these challenges and things. And if you are quite adventurous and you want to try different color pens, at the very top right of your screen, you'll see an artist's palette. You know, they put their brush into the various colors, and that will bring up a menu so you can choose jazzy purple or yellow or whatever. So I'm going to stop share now because I'm hoping that the link has gone into the chat. Could you confirm that, Caroline?
I can't see the link on the chat panel.
I have added it. You might just need to refresh your page to see it.
Okay. So let me pause share, stop share, and what I'm going to do now is going to go live to the website. This is exciting. Are you there? Have you beaten me there? And the reason we chose this site, I think I'm there now. I don't know if anybody else is. Oh, I think we've got some people there. Well, we've got people. We're there. Okay, could you add any comments? Circle play. This is your sandbox. Okay, great to see you on here. We don't actually actually know how many people we've got in this session, do we, Caroline? But
we know we've got one. We can see one.
Great. I don't know. They're doing a high five, are they? The birds there. Yay, we've got this.
Excellent.
Okay. Or we're helping each other. We're working as a team. Okay. So one of the reasons, Caroline, that we chose this was because precisely we didn't know how many people would join. And this tool, yay, we're getting more people. Great. We're getting...
it allows up to 100, doesn't it, this tool?
Yes, yeah, totally free of charge. Yay, online teaching, starting to sing. Yeah, great.
Brilliant. It's also this one, sorry, I interrupted you, Candy, but what I was saying, we like this tool because it's good for teaching maths, for teaching science. There's subjects where you need to use symbols and things more than just text.
Yes.
It's free. It is a bit complicated not complicated, but you have to spend some time to learn your way around it, to navigate yourself as a teacher. But it looks like you've done that very quickly.
Exactly. And I think what we would say is if you're working with your students, start them off with something simple like we've just done. Start them off with the basic tools to familiarise them with the platform. But we will leave this site open. I think it lasts for about a week.
9 days.
Like 9 days
we've got on this, another 9 days.
So you can come back to this if you want to play. And if you want to click on all the different features on there, you can do things like add math symbols and, there's models and all sorts of things. And I know that a lot of people teaching in the scientific disciplines are starting to use this free tool. At the end of this presentation, we have listed all the tools we've either shown you or talked about. You can see how you access them, and there are YouTube videos and all sorts of things, aren't there, Caroline? So it's quite it's good, and you're getting the hang of it. I'm really impressed with you. Oh, somebody's just climbing up the tree. Nobody's grumpy yet. Nobody's feeling depressed about this. This is really good. Yeah, you're all actually quite positive, aren't you? That's wonderful. Okay, that's there. Shall we move on, Caroline? Do you think?
I think so, because we've got next.
I'm going to...
You're going to your slide?
Yay. Yes, I'm going to share. And this, our whiteboard was an alternative, wasn't it, to Caroline, to something that we're probably more familiar with.
Yeah, which is this one, the Google tools. We have tended in our teaching this last year to move towards using lots of the Google tools that are available because they're free, but we find also that they're quite intuitive. People tend to be quite familiar with them, so it's quicker to start using them in your teaching. But every software has its own positives.
I think it was that we could only get 20 something people active on it, so that's why we chose to show you whiteboard chat, I think. So,
and Jamboards, it does stay permanently. Once you've created the Jamboard, then it is yours until you choose to delete it.
Okay.
And there's another suggestion actually of an interactive worksheet. Is wiser.me.
Great.
WIZER. So that's something we've learned today. Thank you for that.
Great. This is the great thing about doing these international kind of sessions, isn't it? So hopefully the chat will stay there and we can come back and trawl through. Okay.
Excellent. So we're looking at a Twin Peaks challenge, climbing those mountains. And of course, for teachers, the challenges, it's about your first challenge, it's pedagogy. It's about pedagogy first, being very clear about your intended learning outcomes. So what are we going to teach? How are we going to teach it? And that means that we need tools that will help us teach effectively. So it's pedagogy first, and then the appropriate digital tools come afterwards. And we're going to put in the chat panel now, there's a really helpful website that will help you in selecting those tools to support your pedagogy. So do have a look at that, perhaps not now, but later on certainly do follow those suggested links.
Great. Okay. So I think that, is part of this journey. We've been exploring on the journey, haven't we? We've been trying to find the tools that would work for us. And sometimes we've gone down a tunnel and we've met a rock face. It's been a dead end. It didn't work. The students didn't like it. We felt unhappy with it. We couldn't make it work. Yeah, we're all going to face those things. But sometimes you walk down a tunnel and you walk into a massive cave with stalactites and stalagmites and tights, and you've got cave paintings, and you think, wow, this works, and it will work when we go back, when we return. I can use this tool. But I think what both Caroline and I would say is, never be afraid of exploring things, of trying things out, of being brave. Take risks. It won't always work, but always explain to your students or your participants that you're working with, hey, we're going to try something new today. I don't know if this will work. Give me feedback. Let me know. And, you know, I think that's what we were doing a lot in the Teaching Excellence program, wasn't it, Caroline? Because for both of us, it was the first time we'd done a whole program totally online. And so every session, there was something we'd never tried before. But you have to do these things, take risks. Okay, so all the literature on teaching and learning is telling us that learning is effective if it's active. You can read as many manuals about how to ride a bike. You can watch YouTube videos on how to ride a bike, but you only know how to ride a bike when you get on that bike and you fall off, you make mistakes, but then you get it. So the big challenge for us is, how do we make learning online active, from that delivering lectures and content to actually involving our students? So on the slide in front of you, there's a list of different things there. As I said, referenced at the end of this slide, but there's some of the tools that we've been using. But the very first one is about using what you've already got. We're teaching on Teams, we're teaching on Google Classroom, we're teaching on Zoom. All of those platforms have got functionality. And I know that the people that are in Ukraine, definitely the people we were listening to yesterday, the people we've worked with, they have used the functionality of those platforms. But elsewhere in the world, I'm constantly quite surprised by people who don't know that you can use breakout rooms. They don't know that you can use polls. And this is really missing something that's integrated into the platforms you're using. So I'd say, exploit what you've got, and then look at the extra things like the quizzes you can do, the Google tools. Caroline mentioned Jamboards and Google Docs, etc. Online notice boards, Padlet, plenary activities, online debates, blogging, making videos and screencasts, and using Edpuzzle to make it more interactive and quizzy, discussion with Flipboard. The list is endless. There are hundreds of tools that we can use to make learning more active. And those are just a few ideas. And one of the new tools that we found, and we're using it really with a large group for the first time today, so we're being brave, aren't we, Caroline, is one called Tricider. Now, Tricider is a tool for developing ideas. It's a tool for exploring ideas, getting arguments for and against, but also in the end, voting for favourites. So we thought we'll try it now. So I think that if you have got a smartphone, you might be able to hover your camera app over the QR code and it will take you directly to that particular website that we set up for you. If you haven't, the web link is going into the chat and you can then open it in a new tab. Okay, and so I think I will stop share, Caroline, if it's in the chat panel.
That's right. Yeah, the link has gone into the chat panel. So thank you, Bianca, for that. So if I now share my screen, here is Tricider. Here's one that we're there, the one that we made earlier. So how are we engaging students? We've set this up already to show you how it would work. We've added some ideas. We're engaging students through breakout rooms, Google Jamboard. Now, this is modeling for you. This is what we want you to do next as your activity. We want you to add an idea here on the green button. Your idea, I'm going to add voting tools.
Oh, they've been doing lots of Mentimeter during this forum, haven't they?
Yes, I saw, yeah. And I'm going to put my name as well. You don't have to,
do you? No.
And I'm going to save it. Oh,
you don't want to. No, thanks. You don't want to.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Oh, it's gone at the top.
Has it? Right. Okay.
Yeah,
there we are. Right. Right. Now I'm going to add an argument. And I can add the argument is more student engagement. Engagement. That's a positive. And
save. Oh, you're putting
save. Thank you.
There we are.
And I can add another one. I could add a negative argument. Not all tools are free.
So you see how this is working. So we'd like to give you a couple of minutes. Again, you can see 9 days left. You can do this yourself afterwards. You can come back and have a play. It's a safe place to say. But just be thinking, as Caroline's just uploading and dating that, how could you use it with your students in your discipline? You know, it could be for exploring new ideas. It could be for ethical debates in your discipline. And you would get all your students on there. You don't need an account to do this. You just put your question in Decider and it comes up. It's brilliant and free. And at the end of an activity, you could get your students to vote on which are the best ideas, which are the strongest arguments and things. So I don't know how many people, we can't see how many people are on here at the moment, but it would be great if we refresh it and just see, has anyone been on there? Have we got any new ideas?
We certainly have. Antonina, thank you, says live speech.
Excellent.
They're going to come up at the top, aren't they? So I will.
Yes, all the new ideas will come at the top, but people can add to the existing ones, pluses and minuses. But you can see how simple this is, can't you?
You can. And I think it's quite a simple thing. It's nice that you can save it as a PDF afterwards. You can download it and you and the students can keep a record of the activity. And it's nice how something like this is so structured.
Yes.
Isn't it? And it allows students to do that asynchronous work.
Yeah.
Because there are some people like us, chatty, happy to talk, that's fine. But there are other people who really would prefer more time and to give more consideration to what they want to respond.
Yeah.
So we've just got Antonina's.
Do you want to refresh it again, Caroline, just to see? Padlet.
Great,
brilliant.
Thank you.
Hey, is that one of our Ludmila's from the tech, I wonder? Okay, great presentation. So people
presentations, virtual labs as well.
Oh, well done.
Good. So do we want to vote on this?
Yes. Okay. We know we haven't finished this, but let's just to show the technical side of this. Do you want to vote on which is your favorite idea from that? Doesn't mean you're excluding all the other ones, but if you've got one, that's a really good tool, I really like that, or that's a really good activity, do you want to have a vote? And then we'll give you just a couple of seconds to go click and vote. These sites, the whiteboard, Decider, you can see it said at the top 8 days left. If you want to come back after this session, play around, have a look at it, go and watch a few videos about how to use it. I just think it's really great tool. And the other one that we've used or shown in the tech was one called Chialo, wasn't it, Caroline? Chialo.com, which is another free tool for debates. So there's loads of really good stuff out there.
Good. Right. Well, no one's voted. If I vote, you'll see who it is. So
okay, I can't vote. I'm
going to vote for Ludmila just because
she's Ludmila.
Oh, okay. I have to put my name.
Yeah. Okay.
Well. Okay. Right. I think
save. Thanks for your vote. Maybe refresh it again just to see. Oh, I don't think you do. You have to vote, put your name. That's an interesting. Oh yeah, Jenny's voted. So there are a few people who have voted. Brilliant.
Good. Okay, so we can see
great.
the principle of how that works, and do carry on playing with this afterwards.
Could you stop share for me, Caroline?
I can stop share.
Brilliant. Okay. So, she hasn't stopped staring. It's telling me, come on, stop.
Yeah, you should have control back now.
I think I have the control. Okay, so hopefully you can see what I'm seeing. So that was the link that we used. And let's hope okay, so another quote. And I mean, again, I've taken them from David Bohm's work, but it's all over. Learning is undertaken as a collaborative activity. And not just collaborative between students, but collaborative between staff and students. You're a team. You're working together to make sure that we have effective learning and effective learning environments. So, if I can click on, come on. Yeah. Caroline, over to you.
Okay, so what else can we do then to make learning more active, more collaborative? And here you can see some ideas of the kinds of collaborative tools that you could use. Word clouds such as Answer Garden, that is free, Poll Everywhere. I won't read through them all. Mind maps. Really good way of students working together, and good for asynchronous work as well. The interactive presentation tools, trying other things, not just using basic PowerPoint within Zoom or something all the time. And of course, we're teachers, so don't forget, you can use your old-fashioned tools as well, your whiteboard. I know I've got the screen at the back, so you can get some pixelation, but do just use whatever you've got to hand. It doesn't all have to be online all the time. And on the next slide, you'll see an example of this.
People you might know, might they?
Yes, you might see some faces.
They might be here. They might be actually in the room. Yeah. We don't know.
And this was just a really nice short activity, and it was literally just pen and paper. Give us the answer and just hold it up in front of screen as a response. Very quick, no preparation, but it allows that interaction as well.
But you can see people's faces, can't you, smiling, and it's just a nice way. You could go and find an object, go on a scavenger hunt, go and find something. People were talking about breaks, having breaks, weren't they? Give them 10 minutes to go around their house and find something and bring it back and show in front of the camera. And that was another issue, wasn't it, Caroline? People saying students don't always want to put their cameras on. It's a good way of encouraging people. Yeah. Oh.
Good. So that last activity, people were there was an element in that of gamification, because we said, Kathy said, quickly write down your answer and everybody hold it up to the camera. 1, 2, 3, now. Okay. And one of the sessions today is on gamification in a parallel session now. It is coming up to quiz time. To give you a warning, we are coming up to a quiz and to show you our third digital tool. So how much have you been paying attention during this session? Now, research tells us that gamification and learning through play is really motivating, and apparently even quite simple activities can really promote deeper learning, deeper understanding, and there's quotes there and some follow-up reading for after the session. So we're going to move on now. Kathy, I can't hear the sound.
Well, no, because I thought, first of all, it will take me a minute to load it all up, and the music is very annoying, and I think people in Ukraine will probably already be familiar with Kahoot, but we just thought it's a fun way to kind of wind up the session. So you've got a QR code there. You've got the website there that should be posted into the chat panel. Okay. I hope, therefore, that I am okay to stop share. And somebody else is sharing. It says I cannot start the share. Well, okay, let me have a look at that one then. What I need to do is I need to go to my Kahoot account and I need to click play. And it's loading up now. And when it's loaded up, you will get a PIN number, which hopefully getting ready. Okay, I'm going to share screen now. And Caroline, remind me, I need to click the annoying sound.
Do you want me to sing the music instead?
Know what? It's apparently close to. Okay, so I hope it's not echoing. So, okay, let's.
Screen share has started. There we are. So the PIN number is up there, 2435711.
Could we put that into the chat, Bianca? 2435711, and we're waiting for players. And I've just taken advantage of a free upgrade for 7 days because we don't know how many people are here, and so Kahoot is great, but you do need to be aware of their terms and conditions. So I'm going to cancel my account after the upgrade after this. I'm not paying them lots of money. So let's have a look. It says it's waiting for players. So, oops.
So people needed to have gone to kahoot.it and then
we're in. First person in.
Use the PIN.
Yay. We know it's working when we start seeing people coming in.
So we've got one person, two people now.
Wait.
3. Yeah.
It does take a little bit of time, doesn't it, to get there?
Yeah. I feel like I want to join the quiz, but given that we wrote it together,
we'd win.
I might win. I don't know. I'm worried I might lose.
Well, we were a little bit naughty, weren't we? Because we haven't gone for obvious questions. We just made it almost like an observation quiz, haven't we? Okay, how long do we give people to join?
How much time have we got left? It's 10:30. 10:30 or 12:30.
We've got 10 minutes. We've got 10 minutes.
Yes.
We'll give 2 minutes to get in, or 1 more minute to get in. Hey, Ludmilla's in. Somebody called M. Is that from James Bond? M. You don't have to put your real name. You can. Oh, got great Ukrainian. Lara. Oh no, what's that? Lara? I'm trying to read the. Is it Lara? Maybe I'm right. Oh, Lana. No, not too confident on reading. Michaelo. Right. So I think we've put the link, we put the PIN number in the chat. Is that right? So yeah. I think we should start and people could join as they go along. It doesn't matter. It's just for a bit of fun. There are 4 questions. Here we go. Start. Here, 3, 2, 1, go. What is the name of the poet who wrote the Odyssey, which is what inspired us? So is it red, Plato, yellow, Penelope, blue, Sophocles, or green, Homer? And you get points for the right answer and points for your speed of answer. I think you know that. Okay, we only got 2 people. Oh, 2 people, and they got it right. So the real question is, how fast? Who was the fastest? M.
Well done.
Whoa. M. Well done, M. Can they maintain this? Question number 2. Which of the following was not mentioned in the list of challenges we face? So this was when we were taking responses from around the world. Which was the thing that actually people hadn't put in their list? So it's a not one at the moment. Oh, we've got 6 answers. We've got more people joining, Caroline, I think. Hey, it's going up.
Excellent.
Oh. The one that people, it wasn't on the list that Caroline spoke to, was like, nobody mentioned workload. We know workload is a big issue, but it wasn't on that list. Whoa, observation. It was a hard one, that one, wasn't it? Okay, let's have a look. Oh, it stayed the same, hasn't it? Because nobody got it right. What about question 3? Question 3. A totally free word cloud is called answer garden, back garden, answer it, plant and answer. I had fun thinking of those. Which one do you think we mentioned? It's definitely got something about plants and answers and gardens and things, isn't it? Okay, 5 answers, 6 answers, 2 seconds left. Quick. Oh,
yeah, well done.
5 way. So we could have a change in the leaderboard, couldn't we? Oh, Arena.
we do.
Whoa, Em, you've dropped to second place. You need the final question is going to be the crunch one here, isn't it? Who else have we got? Let's see. Oh, I'm trying to see. Oh, I can't see other people at the moment. Okay, next. This is the final question. Really observational. Really, we are being evil here, but we thought we'd make it a bit fun. Colour of the tops of the women who were doing the assault course, who were climbing or crawling under things. What do you think colour tops? Actually, it was one of the images on this quiz, wasn't it, Caroline, as well as on our
about
slides?
2 slides ago. You've just recently seen it.
But it's tough. This is a really evil one. 2 people got it right. Yes, it was purple. If you look back at our slides, you'll see we were correct. Oh, are we ready? Who's the winner? The podium time. Could it be Em? Oh, Em, you're third. Gregor was second. Who's the top one? Spotlight on them. Arena. Okay, Arena, here's your little cup. You've won. Okay, well done. Okay, so that was just a little bit of fun. Obviously, if you were doing this in a class, you'd be doing it with more serious questions. So I'm going to close that down. And I've got some final slides for you now. Change view. Because I think it's something Caroline and I discovered last night when we were looking at our presentation, and we thought, hey, this could be quite good. I'm in front of the screen. I feel like the weatherman or the weather person on the TV, and they've got the weather map behind them. So this is me talking in front of my slides, okay? We talked about functionality of platforms. It's free. It's part of Zoom. Why not use it sometimes, okay? So there was a recent report, and we mentioned about, I think in the abstract we sent to Julia, about what students' experiences of study during COVID-19 has been like and what they hope for. So the question is, what are the student views? What do students think could be done differently given COVID restrictions? You know, given the continuing pandemic, what's their voice telling us? And I know student voice has been really important in this forum. Have a look at this. Okay, it's UK based. You may not be able to see very clearly on there, but the top 3 bars, this bar here, talks about they want more opportunities to interact, to collaborate with other students. So they're feeling isolated, they're feeling lonely, they want more time, they want to be together in the moment with their fellow students, and they want to learn together. So that's the first one. And the second one here is about they want more interaction with us, the teachers, the tutors and things. So the top bars there really are all about collaboration, communication, being together. And I think that's an important message from our thing. And then here, open text questions, okay, which you could read afterwards when we share the slides. So our final question to you, at the end of our Odyssey, when we get back to campuses and the pandemic is it's gone, what will our work bags look like? Mine, Caroline's, we'd go into a classroom with post-it notes, pens, sticky notes, all sorts of flip chart. You know, that's what the bag would be like. So would it be like that still? Or could it be like this? Basically, we've got all these tools that can do the things we did originally face-to-face on paper. Would that be our work bag? And there was a really great article from EduCourse and the references at the end about looking to after the pandemic. And they said there's 3 options. Do we restore? In other words, that go back. Do we just kind of patch up and repair what we were doing before? We restore, we go back to norm. Do we evolve what we do? Okay, so we move it forward. Or do we transform our practice? Which should it be? And this is the final tool that we're going to use today. I've embedded a poll everywhere. And I want you, A, B, C. I mean, when you click on the link that I showed you, it's like, you know, will we restore, evolve, or transform our practice when we go back? If you're joining via the QR code on your phone, then you will click one of the pictures and then it will just send that reply to me. So if you want, I think the code, the web link is in the chat, but if not, use the QR code. We will share the response of finding out what people said in the chat after this session, because I'm looking at the clock and thinking 3 minutes left. Okay, so actually, yeah, there we are. Wondered if there are any questions coming through the chat or any comments. If you want to add a question now, we've got 3 minutes, and that's thank you. Now, I can't pronounce it. I don't want to make people laugh, but thank you very much for your time. And I'll just quickly show you, you could give us a reaction in the chat panel. You could tell us whether you've enjoyed today's session, or we were terrible, go away, stay in England. Or you can use the Windows key if you've got a laptop, Windows key and a full stop, and it will bring up our little array of silly little emojis. So you can stick that in the chat panel, or in a Mac it's Command Control Space, and it brings up all little faces, and tell us what you think. And while you're typing any questions, this is what we've got at the end: the list of the tools we've mentioned and the references. Hooray! We've done it in time. So I'm going to stop share. And anybody, are there any questions in there?
I can't see, and I've refreshed on the forum.
Okay.
So Bianca may be able to see some, but I just want to say, Kathy, I think you did us really proud today with the showing people different activities, particularly that last activity that I know is the first time that you've done it in front of an audience. As you say, I like to challenge myself, I think, is the basis of your teaching. So well done. And I was really interested for that. Comments are coming through now. So thank you for such an engaging session.
Oh, that's lovely.
Someone asked, what's your favourite tool for engaging students?
Oh, gosh, Caroline, where do we start? I think it goes back to the slide you gave us, which was about, well, what are you trying to do? What are your aims? What are your learning intentions? And then you pick a tool which will enable the students to, give you that, So I think probably we would, I don't know if you agree, Caroline, that we would very often go to Google tools as a standby.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they're so flexible. So things like Jambles, I feel as though probably I'm overusing. But
it depends on, I think what's quite important is to know your students or your learners, but also knowing like the number of people and whether it's a group that you teach regularly or whether it's something like today where our group is together now for the first time. So you choose the appropriate tool, but you need to have that very clear in your mind what you actually want to learn, what you want your students to learn.
Yeah.
So few more. Thank you very much. It was so informative and useful. So
oh, that's lovely. But what I think my understanding of this forum is that the comments will be there and continue. So if you want to add a question afterwards, what Caroline and I will do, we'll try and go on later and see if we can pick up anything. And look, we managed to get some results through already. I'm just showing you my screen at the moment. And hey, 86% want to transform their practice when they go back. That's really positive. And evolve. I'm sure we'll keep some things from what we used to do. So yeah, great results. And thank you ever so much for your time. Well done, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
we would like to thank our colleagues for excellent workshop. It was very proactive, it was very inspiring, and I hope that you will be able to use the skills which you have developed during these workshops very soon in practice. But our forum, no matter how unpleasant it is coming back to its end. We were very proactively working these 2 days, but this was a unique forum. We were able to communicate with the participants of the program, teachers, students who were sharing their cases, who shared success stories with us, and also they shared the challenges they faced. And it inspires us when we can see the real people who actually had those cases during this year, and they are sharing them with us, and we can use them in our practical work and life. But we are moving forward. What's happening in this forum, we would like to ask the organizers of the forum. So I would like to introduce to you Ms. Lyudmila Dutsenko, the head of the programs of the British Council, and Mrs. Svetlana Kalashnikova, who is the director of the Scientific Research Institute for Higher Education of the Academy of Sciences in Ukraine, and the experts in the reform of the educational sector. Good afternoon. When we were listening to the presentations of the speakers of the forum, we heard quite often that it was a very difficult year for all of us. And my colleagues and myself, we were discussing it as well. And we were saying that on the 17th of March last year, we were planning to start our program for 10 universities of the first year. But everybody knows that we have changed the plans, the format due to the reasons of which you are aware of. And we jointly with our British partners were developing the network of professionals who are ready to change and who are ready to implement the changes in their universities. And well, it was very difficult to do and resolve this task in online format. But I believe that everybody who was listening to the presentations and joined the discussion and joined the workshops were able to see that it worked out. We were able to do it. And forum is usually, you know, like a summary of our work. This is the second forum in our program. The first one was carried out in December 2019, and this is the time when the participants of the program can share their experience, their practices, their achievements. And I think that the participants did it excellently during these 2 days of our work. And the question was, what's next? So next, we are planning the next phase of this program, taking into account the experience and learning the lessons from the first year of the program. All the partners of the program agree to the idea that the optimal form of the program is blended, is mixed when we have offline and online events and sessions. And we have to start from offline format. And way, I'm trying to look at the questions in the chat, because I understand that one of the questions which is most frequently asked will going to be the following: when we are going to announce the call for the second year of the program. And I would like to give you an immediate answer. We take a short pause. We have to look at all the options. We have to follow the development of the situation and understand our opportunities and actually restrictions that we will have during these plans. Within the next 2 months, we will be able to specifically maybe tell you about our plans and dates and schedules and deadlines. I love the English expression to navigate the ambiguity. I don't think that we can give a very good translation into it, but actually it's about this ambiguous times we are living it and our ability to move through it. And this is what we were trying to do since lately. We are, drafting plans, we change them, we plan again. And this does not mean that we do not have any interesting proposals for the university community. Well, next week, on the 25th of March, we are going to offer you a presentation of the teaching formats within the framework of the program Creative Spark. And this is a presentation about the formats of teaching for the entrepreneurial skills development, where the Ukrainian universities look for the examples. And you will be able to find out about it if we join this presentation of the partners of the program Creative Spark, and you can get some additional information in the Facebook and at the webpage of the British Council. I would like to thank, first of all, everybody who has joined us during this forum. I would like to thank the partners of the program, Ukrainian partners, the Institute of Higher Education of the Academy of Pedagogical Sciences of Ukraine, our British partners, the Agency Advice HE, and the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, and the National Agency for Quality Assurance for supporting our program. I'd like to say that we are sincerely grateful to the participants of the program who found, a possibility, who were inspired to work with us in a very intensive format to improve their excellence in teaching and share their achievements with the colleagues. And I would like to thank Olga Asarinchuk and all the moderators of the forum. The excellence is the word which was mentioned so many times during these 2 days. And, well, you can see it behind me on the poster. Salvador Dali once said, "Don't be afraid of excellence. You will never be able to reach it." But nevertheless, I hope and I believe that with our joint efforts, we will be able to approach it at least. Thank you, Ludmila. Svetlana, the floor is yours. Thank you. Esteemed participants of the forum, esteemed colleagues, good afternoon. And really, it's a pity that the forum is coming to its end, but it's very important that we can move forward. Myself, as Ms. Ludmila said, I would like also to mention a couple of key results and key outcomes of the first phase of this program, which we have implemented together. And it was mentioned already that we planned to carry it out in a different fashion. We were planning it like a face-to-face event with a lot of interactive communication. But unfortunately, we had to change the format. And the positive aspect of it was that we were able to demonstrate the strengths of the teams and the strengths of the community. And everybody, well, met this challenge very successfully. And no matter how many innovations we have introduced and we have mastered during this period of time, the program happened, and it was a successful program. And if we are talking about the negative aspects of it, definitely we missed this face-to-face communication. We lacked it, and the opportunity we've got to communicate now in the studio again emphasized how important face-to-face communication is important for us. The energy we are sharing, the live experience which we shared in our previous programs, which were carried out face-to-face. Well, unfortunately, a lot is being lost in online mode, no matter what advanced technologies we are using. We lacked face-to-face communication. And frankly speaking, I was hoping that situation is going to change and we will be able to carry out this forum in a face-to-face mode. But unfortunately, this is the only way we could participate in this forum. And I would like to emphasize another very important achievement of this team. And this was the selection of the teams and the universities which were selected for this program. Well, I hope Ludmila will share my opinion that this is the first competition in which we have got 10 points out of 10. And I'm quite sincere now. And not only the strongest teams of the universities came here, they were so well motivated, and the professors and teachers were very creative, very bold, I would say. And there was no regret, and there were no concerns during the program. And this is for the first time, because in the previous competitions, we always thought that there were some gaps, and we thought that there was room for improvement. But this time, we've got a very strong pool of experts, and that inspires us a lot. And this testifies to the fact that we have enormous experience, and our task is to create the sites to present this experience and to share this experience, to tap on it. And this was the biggest achievement of the program, and that's very important. Definitely, we ask the question, what's next? How we are going to move forward? Ludmila told you about the key aspects of our future work, and we are taking some time out to get the hope that we will be able to implement the next phase of this program in a blended manner, so that there will be face-to-face events and distance format will be used. It is very important for us to carry out some events in the face-to-face format. Ludmila mentioned that we are going to announce the call for a competition within the next 2 months. Definitely we are going to do that. But whether the conditions of the competition are going to change in comparison with the previous competition. No, we are planning to preserve the same format of selection of the university which we were using last year. And I'd like to remind you, this approach appeared to be very effective, and the universities who would like to join this program will have to demonstrate the projects which they are going to work on, and to demonstrate highly motivated professors, managers, because this team is going to be mixed. They have to demonstrate that they already have a potential. They don't start from scratch, from a clean page. They are working on these issues in the university, and participation of this program will be sort of a follow-up. And also English language. The level of English language should be sufficient to carry out proactive communication and direct communication with the British colleagues. So apart from the applications, apart from the requirements to the team, there was the element of the interview, which we were using in the previous selection process. And I think this is why we've got such a good result of this selection, because we had an opportunity to communicate live, face-to-face, and understand all the aspects of the future work. And the universities who would like to participate in the next competition, well, can take into account all those requirements and start preparing for participation in this concert. We are going to announce the call for this competition as soon as we take a decision that we are ready to start. And I expect us to do it at the conference in May. And it's going to be a conference of the Institute of Higher Education, which is going to be dedicated to the problems of the following problems: the personality and the education, and we are going to raise the question on this conference, a detailed information on the competition, the conditions of the competition, and you will be able to ask questions and get the answers to those. And this is where we are going to announce the beginning of the competition. There is another important issue. We actually have a lot of other activities in our program. Apart from training of the universities, there will be the second pool and the third pool, because actually we plan to engage 30 universities into this program. And the national platform of Ukrainian universities, the best practices, and we are going to present this platform at that conference, and the cases which are going to be included into that platform.
So that is why please follow the website of Institute for Higher Education, because we are moving on. And we hope that the following stage for implementing this program will be no less productive, no less fascinating. We totally believe in that, because we know the strength of our universities, but also to all the positive things that we got this year, we will also have the positive aspect of normal human communication. In the end, I would like to thank everyone, to thank the partners, Advanced HE and the British Council in Ukraine, because it is their main initiative and main effort which allows us to move on. And again, I would like to emphasize the fact that the British Council is all for Ukraine and its needs. And this is a great value of this international partnership. Great thanks to all the organizers and also Olga. This was totally fantastic moderation of these 2 days. Thanks a lot to all the participants who participated in the program as well. I call you not to stop and put every effort so that the potential that you have acquired, you're able to pass it not just in your universities, but also to other universities. I really hope that the leaders in your universities and the universities in general will use you as a good team, as a core, which is going to move on and move the universities Thanks. Okay, thank you, Ludmila. Thank you, Svetlana. As far as you understand, the participants forum, you see that the program is ongoing, and this means that there's going to be lots of new challenges before us, and of course, there's going to be lots of new achievements. So those who have been for 2 days with us, thanks a lot on the website and on social networks. If somebody wanted to view or forgot what happened, please watch the video on the website, on YouTube, and I will remain with you. So thank you.